Hi, and welcome to Hypothetically Intentional, where we ask the question, what if we set intentions with everything we do? I'm your host, Michelle Albers. I'm flying solo today, and I'm here to talk about healing and the expectations within that, and also perspectives. I've been having a lot of conversations lately about healing and about some things that have been coming up repetitively, and I'm feeling called to record about that. Things like the expectation that it goes away or that it's finite. What's it? It is the healing itself or the trauma itself. Maybe that's a better way to put it. Like, I think sometimes we have an expectation that, like, there's like once we're healed, it's gone and it's not part of us anymore. And I think a more accurate, at least in my experiences with my own healing and with helping others heal, more accurate way to say that might be that the trauma itself doesn't have this power or control over you anymore, that it's been neutralized or diffused in some way because your relationship to it has been healed. It's become different, it's transformed. And you can be in situations that remind you of said trauma, and it doesn't take you to your knees or freeze you or bring in those visceral responses where you feel like you might throw up or you're shaking and you really just like you don't want to be in that state, but you don't know how to get out of it yet. So I think that's one part of it. I think it's that, the stories, the memories, the narratives of whatever it is don't really go away. Like in my experience, it's been that they still exist. I still have the memories, but I also have the knowledge and the experience of healing that, changing my relationship to it, kind of like, well, not even kind of like, claiming my own power back, realizing that present moment, I have my power, all of it, and that experience doesn't have to take that away from me. So that's one piece of it. And then I think the other thing is that I think sometimes, we think, oh, well, if I'm healed, I'm always courageous, or I'm always, the fear doesn't stop me anymore, or the fear doesn't even show up anymore. And I feel like the fear exists. I feel like the fear is supposed to exist. And I feel like our relationship to it can completely transform in such a way that we can notice it and we can inquire about it. We can be inquisitive and invite exploration of what the fear is about. And then we can still choose to take a step in whatever direction we choose, whether that be, toward into the fear, or whether it be turning around and away from whatever that is, because that's for our best and highest good. I think the difference is that there's a mindful awareness. And I think so many times when we think about healing, we expect, I don't know if we expect that magic pill is a fair thing to say, but I think sometimes we expect that magic pill, and that magic pill, what it does is it erases everything and it makes it all go away. And I find over and over again, it's less about making it go away and more about it becoming part of us that is useful and serves a purpose versus takes over us and we lose bits of ourselves, if that makes any sense at all. I think the same thing is true for control. I think, if you are a person who has trauma and pain points, control gives the illusion of safety. That was definitely my story. I find it true with many of my clients, is like this controlling the external world and what's happening around us, or the people in our lives, or the circumstances, environments that we go into, to try and control all of those layers and pieces is exhausting. That's an exhausting life. That was an exhausting life for me. I watch it and witness it in others, friends, family, clients. And I think I'm realizing over time that maybe one of the key pieces that not a whole lot of people talk about within healing is that there is no magic pill. And also, the goal isn't to erase everything. It's more about shifting your perspective, a transformation of that perspective, perhaps, an ability to, I don't know, it's going to sound so strange, but like an ability to surrender and appreciate and offer love, compassion, and kindness to yourself. And I think it's hard to appreciate yourself when the trauma has been taking over, or those pain points have been taking over, because I think there's a part of us that kind of beats ourselves up for allowing our power to be diminished in that way. And I think there's a time and a place for everything. And I think ultimately it comes to forgiveness for others, for yourself. And there's something about understanding that it's not finite. There's no end game and there's no end game, end goal. I don't know how to say it, but like healing is forever. And also, it's not always exhausting. It's not always the depths of work that it requires when we first get started, or when we have kind of those bigger things in our lives that we look at and we think, oh gosh, I really need to look at this and I really need to heal it. And we do all this need to, must to, have to, should. And the reality is I really believe in divine timing. And sometimes it's not like, when I'm really in it, it's not about me focusing on the healing. It's about me inviting whatever it is that I'm looking at into the room, like into my inner world, and allowing myself to sit with it and to transform the feelings around it, the energy around it, the me within it, and to acknowledge me today and me then. Whatever the memory is, whatever the thing is, whatever the condition, I'll say, sometimes it's like there's a feeling like, I don't like feeling controlled by money, or I don't like feeling unlovable, right? It's like the wounds themselves or the experiences themselves point to a thing. And I think to sit with it and acknowledge that I have a me now that is way more resourced and wised than I was then, but to acknowledge that both exist. Like, I can have the feelings from that time period, and I can understand that there's something that didn't really get resolved. And that's what I want to look at. But before I can even look at that, I just have to get used to and familiar with the energy of that time in my life, like of me then, and remind me that I'm here holding space to give all of me love, compassion, healing, forgiveness. And I'm also here to recognize that I have resources outside of myself that can help me. And I feel like I didn't believe that for a very long time. And it's not because, like, if I have friends and family listening to this and are thinking, oh, what do you mean I didn't, like, I'm not saying it's because you didn't support me or that I wasn't ever supported. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that my inner world had a lot of turmoil and stress and narratives that led me to believe that I was unlovable and unseen and unheard, and abandonment and neglect, and no one would ever stay because I'm not good enough. Those kind of things. Like, I think it's pretty common for humans to have similar pain points in their wounds, no matter what the experiences were that brought you there, right? Sometimes I think we pull it in from past lives if you're a past life believer. And if not, sometimes I think we pull it in energetically from our ancestors. It's like learned behavior passed on from generation to generation to generation to generation that has nothing to do with us, but that has everything to do with past life experiences or ancestral lineage experiences, or just, because. And so, well, I think there's always a reason, but I just think sometimes we don't know the reasons. And to just sit with yourself and to acknowledge that maybe it won't ever go away, but that it can transform, and that we can change our relationship to the more challenging emotions and things like fear and control and all of the other bits and pieces that come in for you. So I don't know. On some level, this feels a little bit messy. And part of that is because I am in it right now. I do have wounds in the room with me, and I am experiencing them and navigating them and having conversations with clients and friends that are reminding me that this is infinite, that we are infinite, everything is temporary, and that when we change our relationship to the things that stop us in our tracks and perhaps lessen our energy, dim our lights, to put it in that sort of cliche way, I think it's important to just recognize that it can be different, and it will take time, and patience and compassion and kindness and love and courage are required in healing, and it's not linear. And don't forget to lean in and find communities and people and places that are safe for you and that can support you as you decide to do the courageous thing and to Well, I shouldn't say it that way because I don't mean to imply that if you choose not to do it in this moment or ever that it's not courageous. I think there's plenty of ways we can be courageous. I just know that healing in and of itself is incredibly courage. It takes courage. That's what I mean by that. And I think to know that you can find support outside of yourself and to have a teacher, a mentor, a guide, someone who can hold that space for you and hold you accountable, checks and balances. I do not do this alone. I cannot do this alone. We all need others to help us on this journey. And I appreciate each and every one of you for listening to this podcast. Please reach out with questions or comments or anything that you would like us to cover. I would love to address questions or concepts that you would love to have us talk about on this show. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day. I believe that's it. Bye. Be you every day.